funny man, Alex Thomas, entrepreneur. Now, you were speaking on growing up in South Central. You said, for as the whole South Central moniker, and everybody is like, oh, South Central, you got to be cuz of blood.
Right.
You grew up, you was around a lot of white kids. You played hockey.
Exactly. So I got teased beyond teasing. Like I don't even know where to start. All I know is imagine
Can you even find ice in California to ice skate on? First,
that's the number one question I get all the time. Even Snoop was like, "Cuz, what did I say, cuz? It's ice in South Central, cuz." Like what it was this place called the Culver Ice Rink. Okay. And it's where the LA Kings actually practiced the hockey team. And I only knew that because I went to an all-white school, and that's where our team played. But imagine I'm at home walking down Crenshaw in 1983, and you got on a Def Leppard t-shirt, a Kings hockey jersey, some Vans, right, and some OP shorts or something. Like, they looked at me like, this dude has completely sold out. Not realizing, right, no, that's just what I was around every day. I love the black folk stuff too, but I was getting kind of like both cultures. And who knew one day I ended up writing one of the biggest TV shows of all time, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and being able to do comedy and all people laugh. That had a lot to do with the way I was born and raised.
Josh and Alex, you all both can answer this. How much is that story you just told, you, no matter what was going on around you, you stayed you? How Absolutely. Hard is that for young men and women nowadays in a culture where what we see is what we go with and not really what a person is? Josh, I'm gonna start with you, man, because I feel you're a millennial and you're part of that what they talk, what Jay-Z was talking about, the stacks of money to the ear, like we all see. And a lot of these guys ain't making money like that. How hard is it to stay you in that wild environment, man? You know what I'm saying? Where everybody wants you to be something else.
I mean, I believe it's extremely hard for, just anybody in this entertainment field, with all the social media stuff going on. It's a lot of pressure. But for me personally, I've been blessed to have a lot of big bros and a lot of, my team that's kind of real experienced and seasoned, and they keep me away from, stepping out of the boundaries of where I'm supposed to be and keeping true to myself. So it's good to have a great support system so you don't get lost in that. But I would say it's extremely hard because, you go on the gram and you post a song and you might get a few likes, but then you go on the gram and you post you slapping some shorties and with the dollars on them, and then that joint goes viral and you're like, wait a minute, am I making music here or I'm trying to slap dollars on shorties to get lit? And it could get confusing. But, it all starts with the team and making sure that the team and the management is keeping you, the message for the artist strong.
Leon, we came from a generation where I'm trying to hide the money. Yeah. I'm not going to be walking around Walmart, a liquor store, a gas store, or a strip club with 100,000 and then be surprised when they try to jack me by my car. I don't understand this generation. Like, are you asking for it? Like, do you want that smoke? So that's why when I hear about, unfortunately, cats getting robbed and jacked, I'm like, dude, he bought it on himself.
Yeah. My thing is, I go back to what Josh was saying. It's got to be the system. I grew up around a bunch of guys who were coattail pullers, not coattail riders, right? Because you get a lot of people around you that don't tell you, hey, Josh, that ain't the move, bro. That ain't correct. You know what I'm saying? Because Josh, who he is, they want to stay in his good grace. And because Alex, who he is, they want to stay in your good grace. They agree with you. And they become coattail riders.
They're called yes men.
Path of destruction. So I like the fact that the young brother was just like, yo, man, I got to keep my circle tight. So don't get me wrong. I love to have fun. Man, if I had the ability to slap a few dollars on some shorties, I would. But my version of slapping dollars on shorties is slapping money on this college tuition I'm paying for.
Exactly. It's funny you said that, Leon. And when you get to our age, you start thinking, that's a mortgage.
Right.
Facts.
That's
Not
that for what he spent in the strip club last night. I could take my wife and kids to Hawaii for a weekend.
Yeah, Atlantis. We go, we kick
Right.
it. Alex, now nobody's no stranger to your success, man. BT Comic View, Def Comedy Jam. You've hit stages all across the world, all across the country, writing for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like, I don't know if many people know, like, how tough was that job, bro? And we'll actually tag you like I need you to write for the show. How tough was that, man? Because I know being a writer ain't all this cracked up where people be like, oh, you writing for this show. But how many times did you hear no and get jokes thrown back in your face?
Well, Leon, when you hear the story, I always tell it, and just to put it in perspective, I had only been doing comedy 6 months. It was my third time doing amateur night at the Laugh Factory. I stood in a 13-hour line just to go up and do 3 minutes on amateur night. Got off stage. Will Smith was sitting in the front row of the Laugh Factory. And mind you, like I said, I caught the bus there that night and had $11 in my pocket. He goes, yo, you real funny, man. My name is, I was like, bruh, I know who you are, right? You Will Smith. He goes, well, you know, I got this brand new TV show. And I was like, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I watch it every week. It had only been on 2 years at that time. He goes, well, let me ask you a question. He goes, do you write? I was like, nigga, you got a pen? He was like, do you think you can come down and help us with some funny stuff like what I saw on stage tonight? I was like, hold on, let me check my schedule. Yes, I'm available. He goes, when do you think you can come down? I'm like, shoot, now.
Right.
Can I get a ride with you? I caught the bus up to this bitch. You know what I mean? The rest was history. Leon, I was there the next day, 4 years. He threw me in a room with people that wrote some of the greatest TV shows of all time. These are writers from Different Strokes and Happy Days and some of the biggest. I barely had 3 minutes of jokes on stage, but he saw something in me, saw that I was funny. I knew nothing about structure. I just knew I was funny. So basically, it started out with me just, they looked at me like kind of crazy, like, how did you get here? What are your credits?
In the room, yeah.
Yeah, like, what are you, until damn near everything that was coming out of my mouth in the writers' rooms, they were dying laughing. So I was batting 1,000.
Right.
To the point where they just couldn't say anything anymore. And when the edits for the shows would come on, some of the biggest, hardest hitting jokes that the live audiences were dying laughing at, Will, after each scene, he would go, Alex Thomas, ladies and gentlemen. And I was like, all right.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So it was huge for me. And then when Fresh Prince was over, he took me to work with him on Men in Black and also Independence Day. So that was just the beginning of my career, man. That opened up so many doors for me before all the movies and TV shows started.
Alex, you've worked with a lot of GOATs in the industry, man. You talk about Snoop, like West Coast. I'm talking about your appearance in videos with some of the biggest rap stars in the country. What was that like for you, man? Especially coming from, you wrote on the Fresh Prince, killed on Def Jam, BET Comic View, now this rapper calling you like,
What Dr. Dre called me for the Up and Smoke tour.
Yeah, and that was crazy. Like, wow. I know that had absolutely phenomenal.
That was one of the biggest things that ever happened in my career, Leon. I mean, it's something that hadn't been done up to that time. Dr. Dre was like, I want to do something different. I'm like, what's that? We're about to go on the biggest tour in hip hop history. We're going to do 49 cities. 30,000 people sold out every night, and I want you to be the host. And I was like, really? Like in every city you just want me to do it? He's like, are you, I can't cuss here, right? I don't want to. Yeah. Long story short, I had about 3 weeks left on the Jamie Foxx show. and I left the Jamie Foxx show to go on tour with Dr. Dre. It was the most money I'd ever made in my career. It was the biggest crowds I had ever been in front of. And as a comic, going from a lot of people for me back then was like 1,500, like a small theater.
Right. Right.
So for me to go up in front of 30,000 in every stadium and arena in America and kill for an hour every night, that made me like, I felt like I was invincible as far as a stand-up comedy. Because it wasn't really about my jokes, Leon. It was like I was a hype man / comedian. I had to like slide my jokes in. Because think about it. There's 30,000 people out here. Everybody's high as hell. It's called the Up and Smoke Tour.
But you would dictate the tempo of the show. I tell people a host can make or break a show.
Absolutely.
Set the tone for the show.
I'm the quarterback. I'm the one that has to go up in a cold audience. I mean, the DJ's playing some music, and yeah, they're not here. You got to think about it, Leon. I was the only one on that bill every night that the people did not come to see. They came to see Eminem, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, East Siders, Warren G, Exhibit, Corrupt, Daz. I mean, I'm like the damn near like the janitor, right?
Hold that right there. Hold that right there. We're going to go to break, and we're going to come back because you made a lot of money on that tour, and you done made a lot of money writing songs. We want to ask y'all what's some of the craziest stuff y'all done bought. We'll be right back. More Later with Leon. Welcome back to Later with Leon. I'm chilling with my man, Josh X, singer, songwriter extraordinaire, classical pianist. He do it all, man. Got the ladies on lock. And of course, one of my OG senseis, Alex Thomas, man, funny man, entrepreneur extraordinaire. Now, Alex, before we left, you were talking about the Up and Smoke tour and how people weren't there to see you. Literally,
absolutely.
You got to go out and kick the whole thing off. You got to go out to a cold audience and get them ready for Ice Cube and everybody else.
But here's the thing. They just knew me in a different capacity, meaning they were rappers. They were on top of the world. Eminem was brand new. He was the biggest rapper on the planet, blah, blah, blah. But I still had done what I did in the past. I still had 3 or 4 movies under my belt. I already had Players Club, Two Could Play That Game, The Wash. I was still on the Jamie Foxx show. So I had my little fame too. It's just as a comic, they didn't come here to laugh tonight, and I wasn't on the bill. So I went out there with a chip on my shoulder every night. And at the end of the day, man, I thank Dr. Dre for what he did because it changed my life around. I bought my first house when I got off that tour, and the rest was history.
Man, get well soon for my man, Dr. Dre, who's going through it right now for the aneurysm. Get well
soon. Leon, I always say if Death Row had a comedy division, I would have been on Death Row Comedy instead of Def Jam.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Alex. I probably wouldn't have took that deal. I saw what Pac and them went through. I was like, I'm straight.
Should would have been like, hey, nigga, that shit wasn't funny.
Yeah, I got time for that, man. You trap doors because of jokes. Alex, you in one of my favorite movies, man, and a lot of people's favorite movies, Players Club, and you got to work next to somebody who I idolize and is you can't mention comedy, or you definitely can't talk Chicago comedy without mentioning his name, the great Bernie Mac. What was that like for you being on set with him and working with that brother?
I miss him, man. I miss him a lot. Bernie took a liking to me, even though I was an LA dude, and I know all the cats like you and the Deion Coles and Schofields and rest in peace James Hanna and all those guys that you came up to. He had love for all you dudes, and then he came to LA. I don't know what it was about us young comics gravitating to Bernie on the set of Players Club. It's almost like I had 32 questions and he answered every single one of them. You know, it was like literally between takes. What'd you say?
Like he'll answer your questions in detail, not just no
absolutely
answer, man. That man
absolutely. And what it's crazy because we talked a lot about comedy, but believe it or not, Bernie and I really didn't talk a lot about comedy. We kind of talked more about golf than we did comedy. I'm just being real with you. You know what I mean? Like it was like between takes,
He was
we'll
having-
talk about, you know, Tiger Woods and what the, you know, how you hitting your driver lately, and when we gonna play again, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. So I miss him. He was a comedy legend. He was proof, kind of like him and Robin Harris were kind of like the guys that didn't fall into the Hollywood bullshit. The Hollywood bullshit I'm sorry, I'm cussing.
You good, you good.
They were able to be themselves, and people love it, and it translated, and it was hilarious. And his personality, there'll never be another Bernie Mac.